Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I'm going to apologize in advance. The filming of this video is going to get a little weird at some point because I don't have a printer and I'm going to show you a graph on my monitor, and that might get a little bit bizarre. Anyhow, I want to talk to you about the pose roll mechanic in Advanced Fighting Fantasy. I've already made a video about that, but I wanted to take another look at it because I was a little taken aback at the rate of success. And what happens in that system is that you're really only able to fight somebody that's a few places better or worse than you are before it becomes like really unmanageable. And just to kind of recap how that works, it's an opposed 2d6 roll. Highest guy wins the round. Guy that rolls the highest wins the round. And what you're doing is you're applying any kind of modifiers, and the modifiers really are your skill. So you have this global skill score, and then if you have a skill with a weapon, that's going to affect it too. So say you both have a global skill of 7, and the guy with one guy has a sword, and he has a skill in the sword, and he has like 2 points in that. So now he adds 9 to his roll. The other guy adds 7. So realistically, what happens is the guy with a skill in the sword adds 2 to his roll. At this point, because it's not a it's not a linear roll. It's a bell curve. Things get a little wacky really fast. Your chance of success becomes much greater, much faster if you have a positive modifier, and it becomes much less, much faster with a negative modifier. And remember too, there's a tie in the middle there, which takes up a big chunk. So the guy with the +2 at that point, he's got a 66.5, rounded up a little bit, percent a chance of winning the round. While the guy that's has a -2, he's got like about a 24% chance of winning the round. So not so great at that point. I decided, well, what if I used a d12 instead? D20 would kind of flatten out the curve quite a bit, but what about a d12? So I'm going to try to show you what this graph looks like. And so the blue line you're going to see is going to be a d20, and that's going to be the flattish looking one. The 2d6 is a red line. So that's what your normal curve looks like. And this graph is going from like -5 to +5. And then as terms of modifiers, and when you're thinking about adding up all those skill levels. And then the d12 is going to be this yellow line. So let's see how this works out here. There it is. Hopefully you can see that at this point. All right. Just wanted to give you the idea of what those curves look like. So the blue d20 is really, really flat, but the reddish 2d6 it gets a little bit crazy. So what happens now at plus and -3? Because that's where normally if you're doing a 2d6 roll, you should run at this point if a guy is 3 places better than you. So here, with a straight up 2d12, you've got a 76% chance of winning that round. I'm rounding off fractions. But if you're the guy that's 3 places behind, you've got less than a 16% chance of winning that combat round. You really should run because this guy's going to do damage to you every time he wins the round. Whereas if you're doing a straight up d12, now the guy that's 3 places ahead has got about a 69% chance of winning the round. Whereas the guy that's 3 places behind, he's still got a 25% chance. It's not awesome, but he's got a chance, much better chance than 16. If you're going 4 places, different. Okay, the guy that's 4 places ahead, he's got an 84% chance of winning the round. Where in a d12, straight d12 roll, he's only got a 75% chance of winning that round. If you're 4 places behind, you've got a 10% chance of winning the round. If you're doing 2d6, less than 10% actually. Whereas if you are doing a d12 roll, you got about a 19.5% chance of winning the round. So not great, but a lot better. And let's just say 5 places, because that's really about as crazy as you'd ever want to go. With a 2d6, you've got about a 90% chance of winning the round if you're 5 ahead. With a d12, it's about 80.5. And -5, you've got about a little less than 5.5% chance of winning the round if you're doing 2d6, which is canon, and you got about 14.5% chance of winning the round. Still not awesome. You should probably run if you're doing a d12. So do I really want to mess with it with a 2d6 mojo? Not really, but it kind of it expands a little bit the foes you can actually face. So I might use that if I run that game. Not 100% sold on it, but still, I kind of like that a little bit better because I was a little whacked out just how narrow that becomes. That's the only part of that game I really, that gives me pause. Everything else about it is fantastic. So I might use that. And if you play the game, maybe that's kind of food for thought. Maybe here's an easy way to kind of make it a little bit, easier for people to face tougher foes. And as always in that game, it's very important to outnumber your opponent because that, of course, gives you extra pluses, extra modifiers for every person that's outnumbering them. They can outnumber them by 6 is the maximum number, and then of course other situational modifiers apply. So that's my thought. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. Doesn't really matter. This is just role playing. It's make believe.